Hello and welcome to Yogavataranam, Chapter 2. This is video 2.8, in which we will deal with the Sandhi review. That's the review of the Sandhi rules that you've learnt so far. These appear at pages 38 and 39 of the printed book. I will share my iPad screen with you. Give me a moment. Right, and here we are, sharing the screen. Sandhi review, and we're looking at page 38. Below you will find all of the Sandhi rules we have learnt so far, with examples from the Yoga Sutra. In each example, the particular rule being explained is illustrated in red or blue. Now, word combination. In the Devanagari script, when a word ends in a consonant and the next word begins in a vowel, the two words are combined together. And an example here is given from Yoga Sutra 2.21, which reads in Devanagari, Tad artha eva drishyasyaatma. The point being made here is just in those first two words where you'll see tad artha, tad artha. That would be written separately in Devanagari if they were separate words. Written tad artha, but it ends in a d and begins in a vowel, so it's written as ta, dar, ta, ta, da, ta, tadarta. Write that properly. By the way, in these examples that are given in this on these 2 pages from the Yoga Sutra, I don't know why the author has chosen these examples. They're actually they're written in very difficult Sanskrit, very, very terse, condensed expressions. So they aren't really intended to be used as study material here, not at this stage. They're given solely for the purposes of illustrating the Sandhi, so I shall restrict what I'm saying here just to the Sandhi element rather than analysing the meaning of the text, which would be distracting and superfluous at this stage. So the first point, example 1, the Yoga Sutra 2.21, just making the point that in tad artha, what are in fact 2 separate words, are written in the writing, they're written as if they're one. Vowel Sandhi, 2 similar simple vowels. By simple vowels, it's vowels that are not e, I, o, au. They're the complex or compound vowels. We'll come to those later. But the simple vowels are just a, I, u, r, and r, or ri and ri. If a word ends in a simple vowel, and the next word begins with a simple vowel of the same type, whether long or short, then they merge into one. As we mentioned before, the a or a ending, followed by the next word beginning in a or a, they'll both merge into a long a. And exactly the same applies, e, followed by a word beginning in e or e, but they just merge into a long e. And the same with u, and the same with re. And under vowel Sandhi, point 1, halfway down page 38, you should recognize these. These are the vowel signs that we studied earlier. These are the pure vowel signs that you find at the beginning of a sentence or the beginning of a word group. So the example is given here from Yoga Sutra 1.1, which is atta Yoga Anushasanam, which become the Yoga Anushasanam becomes Yoga Anushasanam. So Atta Yoga Anushasanam. As before, I'll just show you the relevant part. So the Yoga Anushasanam, the instruction in yoga, Anushasanam. So the Yoga Anushasanam becomes Yoganu Shasanam. This just illustrates the point of the A and the A, so A and A merging into a long A, Yoganu Shasanam. Now, near the bottom of page 38, consonant sandhi. When an M, let's see, written as an M there, with the virama to show it's not a ma, but it's a m. When a m is the last letter of a word and is followed by a word beginning with a consonant, it becomes anuswara. That's the one that's written in the Devanagari script with a dot over the top of the consonant in question. And in transliteration, it's most commonly written as an M with a dot on it, sub-dotted M. You'll see in some old books or some other forms of it written with a super-dotted M, and sometimes I think Durosel Pali Grammar uses this symbol, which in phonetic script, international phonetic script, is the ng sound. Most commonly you'll see as a sub-dotted M, which is the method that I almost always use, and that modern scholars now most commonly use. We'll stick to that, but just be aware of the other ones. So we have here the example at the bottom of the page, Heyam Dukkam Anagatam. Actually, we can analyze this sentence because it's quite a simple one. So I'll write it in Roman script. Is Heyam Dukkam Anagatam. Heyam. On its own, this word would be Heyam, but it's followed by another word begin with a consonant, so it becomes sub-dotted M. And 2 points are made here. There's dukkam, and the following word is anagatam. Heyam dukkam anagatam. So dukkam anagatam are joined. So let me write that in Devanagari for you. Heyam, Heyam, dukkam, now this is dukkam anagatam, so it's going to be written as dukkam, and we go straight into the next word. So dukkam na, dukkam anagatam. So I haven't written that very well. It's a g, an agatam, an agatam. Heyam, to be abandoned, cast aside, or avoided. Heyam. Dukkam anagatam. Anagatam means gata, gone. Agata, come. Anagata, uncome, so not yet come. So what he's saying is the dukkha that has not yet come can be avoided. should be avoided. Heyam, to be avoided. Dukkam anagatam, the dukkha that has not yet come to us. Now on to page 39, Visarga Sandhi. That's where a word ends with the subdotted H, or the two dots, as it's written in Devanagari. If a Visarga is preceded by A and followed by an unvoiced consonant, one that does not use the vocal cords, there's the first two columns of consonants and the sibilants, there is no change. Now, where the author here says the first two columns of consonants, the reference is, if you look back to page 5 at the bottom, the ones meaning ka, cha, ta, ta, pa, and ka, cha, ta, ta, pa. It's not actually quite correct to say that the visarga remains unchanged, because the visarga will take the same point of articulation for ch, da, and ta. It's only with ga and pa and the sibilants that it will remain unchanged. As I explained, you don't say namaste but namaste. So the example is given from Yoga Sutra 1.5. Which reads Vrittayah Panchatayah Klishta 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 Klishta, which means the fivefold Vrittaya, which is movements of mind, can be affliction giving or non-affliction giving, painful or painless. So the point being made here is that you have the Vrittaya, the plural of vritti, a movement, as in a movement of the mind. Vrittaya. So the word standing on its own would be vrittaya. Panchataya. And again, Panchataya is the fivefold. Standing on its own ends in this A with a subdotted H. Klishta, Klishta. So this is the next word following straight on. The point that's being made here is this vrittaya. The next word begins with a P, so the A remains unchanged. Same would apply to a K, PK, aspirated or unaspirated. And the next word, Panchataya, the following word begins with a K. That is why also it remains unchanged. So Vrittaya, Panchataya, Klishta, Klishta. Number 4. If a visarga is preceded by A and followed by a voiced consonant, one that uses the vocal cords B, G, H, J, and so on. That's the last 3 columns of the consonants. And the semivowels, Y, R, L, V. Then A becomes O. The example given begins Viparyaya Mityajnanam, and so on, which becomes Viparyayo Mityajnanam. So Viparyaya. Don't worry yet about what all this means. It'll distract and disturb you if you try now. Viparyaya Mityajnanam. I won't do the whole thing. Just the point that's being made is because the A followed by the M becomes O. So Viparyayo Mityajnanam. Number 5, if a visarga is preceded by a and followed by a word beginning in a, then the a becomes o, and the second a disappears and is replaced by an avagraha. We discussed the avagraha symbol looks like that, and the word means avagraha, grah, cognate with our grab. Avagraha, just taking away. So tatra stitau yatna abhyasa. So the two words in question are yatna, abhyasa. Yatna, abhyasa. So the yatna abhyasa becomes by santi yatno abhyasa. And number 6, the visarga after sa and esha, that's sa and esha, when followed by a consonant, does not follow normal Sandhi rules, and it is dropped. It says except at the end of a pada or a sentence. Well, if it's at the end of a sentence, it's not followed by anything, so it just stays there. So I said pada should be pada, of course. So, and the example is given. I just do the first two very short words. Sahatu. If the visarga were to remain, which it doesn't, it would become, remember, as in namaste, namaste, it would become sastu. Those asterisks mean this is a form that doesn't exist, a wrong form that I'm giving just for illustrative purposes. So the sa followed by a consonant just drops the visarga. And that is why we have satu. Satu. So that completes the Sandhi review for this exercise. Actually, no, it doesn't. I just realized I missed out one of the examples. It's the, back to page 38, second half, it's the example 2. Sorry, I missed that out. I'll just do it over this page. And example 2 reads, before the Sandhi is imposed, Dhyana Bindu Upanishad. You see, that's just above where it says consonant Sandhi at the bottom of near the bottom of the page. I'll write it in Roman script. Dhyana Bindu Upanishad. Sorry, the page is jumping mad. Dhyana Bindu Upanishad. Now, what's happening here? We get this bindu that ends in an u, and the next word begins with an u. So what happens? It becomes Dhyana Bindu Panishad. So you don't say Dhyana Bindu Upanishad, but Dhyana Bindu Panishad, like this, and that's how it's written after the arrow under example 2. I'll just put it in Roman script. Dhyana Bindu Panishad. Dhyana Bindu Panishad. And as we know, some scholars will write that U with a circumflex like that, just to indicate that it's a coalescence of U plus U to U. Good, that concludes the Sandhi review, and we'll then move on to the last page in this lesson, page 40, the review exercises.